If your physical therapy practice profit margins have dropped from 20% down to single digits in the last few years, you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not doing anything wrong. Hi, my name is Dr. Andrew Gorecki. I'm a physical therapist and a practice owner, and I'm going to show you exactly what's happening to your practice and why. Let me start by saying this. If you're lying awake at night and you're worried, like me, about your practice finances, you're not alone. If you're looking at your profit and loss statement and wondering where the heck did all the money go, you're not alone. And if you're starting to question whether you can keep doing this, you're definitely not alone, right? I know this because I've been there. 2 years ago, my practice margins dropped below 10%. I think we got down to 8. We have 13 therapists, 2 locations, and we've been profitable for over a decade. And suddenly we weren't. And here's what I want you to understand, right? So this isn't because you're a bad business owner. It's not because you're not working hard enough. It's certainly not because you're doing something wrong, right? So what's happening to your practice is happening to practices nationwide, and it's not temporary. It's a structural problem. So let me show you what I mean, right? So according to the recent industry in the data, the average physical therapy practice profit margin has declined from about 18 to 20% 5 years ago to less than 10% today. And so now you might be thinking, okay, but still 10% is profitable, right? Well, technically it is, but here's the problem. At 10% margins, you have zero cushion, right? One bad month and you're in the red. You can't give your staff raises. You can't invest in your practice. You can't handle any unexpected expenses. You're literally one crisis away from trouble. And that's what stresses you out, right? And for many practice owners, a 10% margin means you're making less than your staff therapist when you account for the hours that you put in, that you're working, and the risks that you're taking, right? So what's causing this? Well, really, the heart of the problem is that you're being squeezed from both sides, right? So let me show you the math real quick. Insurance reimbursements have declined 20% over the last 3 to 4 years. I think 40% in the last 10 years. So what used to pay you $100 for a visit now pays $80 to $85. You've got Medicare cuts, commercial insurance cuts. It's bad across the board. So your revenue per visit's been down, and it's going down significantly. And at the same time, your costs have exploded, right? Staff wages, they're up 20 to 30% in most markets. You have to pay competitively, or you're simply going to lose staff, right? And there's an 18,000 physical therapist shortage nationwide. So if you're not paying 80 to 90,000 for experienced PTs, then they're going to go somewhere that will, right? And not to mention rent's up 10 to 20%, supplies are up with inflation, everything's up. Insurance, utilities, software, everything is up. So let me put this together for you. You're making 20% less per patient while your costs are up 30%. That's a 35 to 50% squeeze on your margins, right? And so an example, in 2019, $100 of revenue per visit, $80 in cost was $20 for profit. That's a 20% margin. In 2024, $85 visits, $100 in cost, you're losing $15 a visit. So you're literally losing money on some visits now. Visits that used to be profitable are now underwater. So here's the hard truth. This isn't temporary. This is the new normal. Insurance companies are not going to suddenly start paying you more. They're going to do the opposite. They're moving in the opposite direction. Medicare is cutting reimbursements. Commercial insurance is following. This is not new for us, right? Staff wages are not going down. The shortage is getting worse, like not better. So you're competing with hospitals, health systems, and private equity groups with deep pockets. Rent isn't going down. Inflation isn't reversing. This is literally a structural problem in healthcare economics. The old model, where you could run a profitable practice just by seeing patients and billing insurance, that model is literally broken. And I know that's scary to hear, but I'd rather you understand the reality than keep hoping that things are going to get better and go back to the way they were. They're just simply not. So what do most practice owners do when they see margins that are shrinking? Well, they try to work harder, right? See more patients, fill the schedule tighter, work long hours, right? And I get it. That's what we're trained to do, right? We have good at work ethic. We're hustlers. We're grinders. But here's the problem, right? You can't outwork the structural problem, right? If you're losing money on each visit, seeing more patients just means losing money faster, right? So you're working harder to go broke, right? Is the way I see it. And even if you're still marginally profitable per visit, there's a limit. Your staff can only see so many patients before quality suffers, before they get burnt out, before they quit and go somewhere else that promises things that, grass is always greener, right? I tried this. I was working 60 hours a week trying to make up the revenue gap myself. I was exhausted. My family barely saw me. And you know what? It didn't work. The math didn't work. You cannot work your way out of this, right? You need a different approach. So you have a choice to make, right? You can either choose option one, which is do nothing, hope things get better, keep grinding, watching your margins slowly erode until you're forced to close or sell. And I'm not being dramatic. I work with practices all over the country, and I've seen practices close. I've seen owners burn out and walk away. I've seen practices get acquired by private equity most recently, at terrible valuations because the owner was desperate. And then there's option two, right? You can adapt. You can recognize the game has changed and you need to change with it. Find new revenue streams that don't require seeing more patients or burning out your staff. I chose option two, and it literally saved my practice, right? Adapting doesn't mean abandoning everything you built. It doesn't mean going cash-based or completely changing your business model. It means adding new revenue streams that will work with your existing practice, not against it. And better yet, if it helps the patient improve, even better. It means finding ways to increase revenue per visit, right? Without the workload increasing. It means leveraging technology and systems to do more with the same resources, right? So for my practice, we found a way to add $40,000 of revenue per month without seeing a single additional patient, without buying expensive equipment, without going cash-based, without burning out our staff. Our profit margins went from under 10% back to 20%. We could pay our staff competitive wages. We could invest in the practice. We could breathe again. I could sleep again. And we're not special. We're not some unique market. We just found a solution that worked, right? So look, I know this is heavy. I know it's stressful. I know you're worried, but I want you to know that you're not alone in this. There's thousands of us, practice owners, that are facing this exact same challenges. And many of them are finding ways to adapt and thrive, right? And the practices that are succeeding right now, they're not working harder. They're working smarter. They're finding new revenue streams. They're adapting to the new reality of the marketplace. And I know you can do this too. I've done it and you can do it. If you're feeling this financial squeeze, I want to help you. I've put together a free guide called The 5 Revenue Strategies PT Owners Are Using in 2026. It's not a sales pitch. It's literally a free guide that I made for you. It's just practical strategies. It's literally things that we've done in my practice. And so there's a link below in the description. I want you to download it. I want you to read it. And I want to see if any of these strategies might work for your practice. You don't have to figure this out on your own. And I can tell you that a couple of the strategies that I'm going to include here that we added last year, you're not going to hear about these strategies. So your practice is worth saving. You've built something valuable, right? You help people every day. You employ people. You make a difference, right? Don't let the broken healthcare economics take away that from you, right? You need to adapt. You need to evolve. You need to survive and then thrive. So I'm Dr. Andrew Gorecki. I appreciate you watching. Hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And please download my guide.